So you guys have probably seen me a bunch of times in videos walking by the Diversity Projects, the Lathrop Homes over by Diversity and Damon, because this is like right down the block from my crib. So there was a guy who was over there, man, who's from over there. His name was Salik. He's a Latin king, okay, or at least he was like back in the day. I don't know if he's still claiming that now, but he's a little bit older now. But he was over there, and that used to be a Latin king's hangout. Like it was a projects back in the 90s. And the Latin Kings were in a war with the insane Deuces, which I might do a video on that at some point. Now, as far as Latin Kings still in that area, I don't know of any that are still over there. It's kind of been cleared out. There's still residents over there, but the majority of the residents over there that I see now over there are black, like black. I mean black American, not like this guy that I'm going to talk about in this video. I think he's Puerto Rican. I don't know him personally, but his family was like over there and stuff. And they'd also lived up by the North Pole for a little while. This used to be like a deep Latin King area back in the 90s. Okay, now it's like being remade. It's like one of these areas of Chicago where it's like they're trying to redo it. Well, most of the people over there now are black, and I don't think any of them gangbang. I've never seen any of them claiming anything or anything like that. But the insane Deuces are still in the neighborhood. But as far as the war with the Kings, that's pretty much over as far as I know. So anyways, that doesn't relate to this video, though. I'm just kind of giving context to the area. So that's why you guys have seen me in this area in a lot of videos, because it's like right down the block from where I stay at. So this guy, Salik, that I'm going to talk about, he was still over there, though, a few years back, and he had allegedly killed somebody over a dice game. And he's now gotten sentenced to 20 years for this. So apparently he was originally from California. And he had been sentenced to 20 years for fatally shooting a man on the north side during a dispute about the dice game. They said, and this is according to CWB Chicago, they said that the allegations during his initial bail hearing in November of 2020, the judge was saying a dice game. He said, I know most people say, well, it's not about the dice game, it's about respect. And the judge said, well, that's even worse. So a grand jury indicted Salik on multiple counts of first-degree murder. And he ultimately struck a deal that allowed him to plead guilty to a reduced count of second-degree murder. So the judge handed him a 20-year sentence. It will be reduced by 50% for good behavior and offset by the 1,008 days that he spent in Cook County Jail before pleading. So I did the initial report on this story a few years back, and this is like 3 years old now. So he is really only going to have to serve about 7 years for this. So his parole date is going to be in 2030. So prosecutors said that he was arrested for a different murder in 2007, but the state's attorney's office declined to pursue the case because witnesses refused to cooperate. So that's something I may do a video on in a future time. Yeah, this area has a long history, okay, with the Latin Kings. So on July 11th of 2020, a 27-year-old named Jovante drove to the 2800 block of North Levitt. And by the way, if I put up the mugshot of Salik, you guys can see the K with the heart, King Love, over on his face. Over there, I'm not sure what his neck tattoo shows. But you guys, if you guys are thinking about getting face tattoos, if you ever are going to drop your flag, which you might do at some point, okay, when you get to be your 40s, 50s, like you're not going to want all these gang tats all over your face. I highly recommend not doing that with the tattoos, man, because if you want to get that laser removal, that stuff hurts is what I've heard. So anyways, he was over in the 2800 block of North Levitt. So I'm showing the area in this video. This is easy for me to walk to. I walk past this all the time. Diversity and Damon, and a little bit like west or east of that, depending on which direction you're coming from. And his brother and a friend, to defuse the dice game dispute after receiving a series of anonymous threatening messages. So Jovante King had driven over to this location for that purpose. So when the group arrived, a man and a woman warned Jovante to leave the area because he was in danger. So I don't know if Jovante, I don't know what his connection was with these people or if he knew them or anything, but that's when Salik walked up and put a gun to Jovante's head. Jovante repeatedly pushed the gun away from his head and tried to calm the situation with his words, but Salik pulled the trigger, and he fatally shot Jovante in the head, according to prosecutors. But anyways, when Jovante's brother began to yell, "Get up, bro," Salik allegedly replied, "He's not getting up." So the brother grabbed a gun in Jovante's car and got out of the vehicle. Salik then began shooting towards the brother as he fled. And Jovante died the next day. The murder was captured on surveillance video, so I don't know if you guys can see. I should have put the camera on it in this video, but there's cameras all over this area. And the footage is not clear enough to identify the gunman, but Salik was allegedly identified as the killer by the police. So according to prosecutors, Salik became uncooperative during a lineup at the Area 3 Detective Division by refusing to stand and pulling his hoodie over his head. At one point, Salik began yelling and violently pushed his face into the lineup room glass. So during the lineup incident, which was captured on video, he knocked a police officer to the ground and spat in the faces of 3 other cops. Officer who fell suffered injuries to their hip and hand. Salik pled guilty to 1 count of aggravated battery of a peace officer stemming from that incident, and the judge sentenced him to a concurrent sentence of 3 years. So he's now taken 20 years, and so, like I said, 50% if he's on good behavior. Like I said, he could potentially get out in 2030, man, for a murder over a dice game. Let me know what you guys think, man. But I don't know if this was gang related or not. I don't think it was. I think it was just over the dice game, because typically that comes out at trial. But as far as this is a topic for a whole other video. It's not related to this, but as far as the war between the Kings and the Deuces, this is one of these wars, like in Chicago, that pretty much, as far as I've seen, has ended, because the Kings have pretty much cleared out of this area. I do not know of any Hispanics that still live in these projects. Everybody that stays in the projects now is like black. So I don't know of any Latin Kings. I've never seen any Latin Kings in this area. I haven't seen any Latin King graffiti in years around this area. But the Deuces, I know, are still around here. So yeah, they're basically like by themselves. I don't know who really they're beefing with these days. This area is not an area where there's like a lot of gang violence. This is Lakeview, and Lakeview, it's the motherland of the Eagles. And like I said, it's got Deuces. The Insane Deuces, is originally a white gang, but it's one of those white gangs that's accepted a lot of Hispanic members, and they've got some black members too. The colors are green, but yeah, there's really not too much as far as that going on here. But as far as robberies and murders over robberies and just murders over like random stuff, there's a lot of that going on here, man. Like, I didn't report on this, I don't think at the time, but a couple of weeks ago, there was like 5 people killed in this neighborhood in 1 week for like carjacking, and none of them were gang members. They were all like just neutrons, like working people, guys in their 30s, 40s, just driving their cars to work or whatever, carjack, killed. So there's a lot of that going on over here, but that's mainly going on to the east of here, like over by Halstead. So Lakeview, it's an area where there's like a lot of robberies and stuff, and stuff like that. But as far as the gang violence, that has pretty much died down. But this, back in the 90s, used to be a really hot plot, man. Like, really hot. One of the hottest areas of Chicago. These projects. And it goes to show, like, how things can change like that really fast. Sort of like Cabrini, except Cabrini Green still has problems. This area, really, I haven't seen anything going on over here in a long time. This was really like the last big incident that I've seen happen over here in a minute. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think, though, man, in the comment section. And let me know what you think too about the whole idea of clearing out the projects like they did, because this is one of the biggest examples of that. Now, like I said, there's people still here, and there's people that are moving back into here. They've like remade a lot of them and renovated a lot of the units. As you guys can see, I'm putting the camera on some of it. And this area is like kind of turning into a hip area now, with a lot of shopping and stuff in the area. But yeah, there's not too much going on here anymore. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think about that idea that was taking place, under the previous mayors with the projects. Your boy, Chicago News. I'm out.